It was just another busy evening at Joe's Diner, the kind of place where the coffee was always hot and the fries were perfectly crispy. The diner wasn't fancy, far from it, but it had charm. Its walls were covered with faded posters of, old movies, and the jukebox in the corner played songs that took you back to simpler times. For years, locals had been coming here for comfort food and good company. But tonight something unusual was about to happen. Sam Carter, one of the waitresses, moved quickly between tables, balancing plates of burgers and milkshakes like a pro. She'd worked at Joe's Diner for as long as she could remember. It wasn't her dream job, but it paid the bills, or at least some of them. Her life outside work wasn't easy. Between taking care of her sick mom and making sure her younger brother stayed out of trouble, Sam often found herself stretched thin. Still, she never let her personal struggles show while she was on the clock. To her customers, she was always cheerful, cracking jokes and remembering their favorite orders. That evening, the diner was packed. People filled every booth, chatting loudly over plates of steaming food. Just as Sam finished serving a table of rowdy teenagers, the door chimed, and a man walked in. He looked ordinary enough, dressed in worn-out jeans and a flannel shirt that seemed a size too big. His face was unshaven and his hands bore signs of hard work, calloused and rough. At first glance, he blended right in with the crowd. Sam greeted him with her usual warmth. "Welcome to Joe's. Right this way," she said, leading him to an empty booth near the window. As she handed him a menu, she noticed how he studied everything around him, the decor, the staff, even the way the cooks worked in the open kitchen. Most people would have thought nothing of it, but there was something curious about the way he observed things, almost like he was trying to learn something. The man ordered a cheeseburger and a cup of black coffee. While waiting for his food, he struck up a conversation with Sam. He asked her questions about the diner, how long she'd worked there, what she liked most about it, and whether business was steady. At first, Sam thought he was just being friendly, but his tone suggested he wanted more than small talk. There was sincerity in his voice, a genuine interest in hearing her story. Between serving other customers, Sam shared bits and pieces of her life. She told him about her family, her dreams of someday opening her own cafe, and the challenges of working long hours for little pay. The man listened intently, nodding occasionally and asking follow-up questions. It felt nice to talk to someone who actually cared, even if it was just for a few minutes. But not everyone appreciated their exchange. Mr. Peterson, the manager, had been keeping an eye on Sam all evening. He prided himself on running a tight ship, and in his book, chatting with customers for too long was a waste of time. When he saw Sam laughing and talking animatedly with the man, his patience ran out. "Carter," he barked, storming over to her section. "What do you think you're doing? You've got tables waiting and you're standing here gossiping?" Sam froze, embarrassed. "I'm sorry, sir," she stammered. "I was just answering his questions." "Well, don't," Mr. Peterson snapped. "This isn't a social club. Get back to work or I'll dock your pay." The man watched the scene unfold silently, his expression unreadable. After Mr. Peterson stormed off, Sam apologized to him. "Sorry about that," she said softly. "He's strict." "It's fine," the man replied with a faint smile. "I didn't mean to get you into trouble." For the rest of the meal, Sam kept her interactions brief, focusing on her other tables. But every now and then, she'd catch the man glancing at her, his eyes thoughtful. She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to him than met the eye. Later, as he prepared to leave, he flagged Sam down. "Excuse me," he said, pulling out his phone. "Do you mind helping me find a motel nearby? My phone's dead and I'm not familiar with this area." Without hesitation, Sam grabbed a napkin and sketched a quick map for him. "There's a decent place about 2 blocks down," she explained. "Just follow Main Street until you see the sign." "Thank you," he said, slipping the napkin into his pocket. Then, after a pause, he added, "You're really good at what you do. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Sam smiled weakly, unsure how to respond. Before she could say anything, Mr. Peterson appeared again, fuming. "What is this?" he demanded, pointing at the man. "Are you giving away directions now? Is this diner paying you to play tour guide?" "I was just helping," Sam began, but Mr. Peterson cut her off. "That's it. he shouted. "You're fired. Get out of my sight." The room fell silent. Everyone turned to look at Sam, whose face flushed red with shame. She tried to protest, but the words caught in her throat. Grabbing her apron, she hurried toward the back, tears streaming down her face. The man watched her go, his jaw tightening. For a moment, it looked like he might say something, but instead, he quietly placed a $50 bill on the table and left. As Sam sat in the break room clutching her belongings, she replayed the events in her head. How could this have happened? All she did was try to help someone. Little did she know, that stranger was about to change her life in ways she couldn't imagine. The night air was chilly as Sam stepped out of the diner, her heart heavy with a mix of anger, sadness, and disbelief. She clutched her bag tightly, the weight of her firing sinking in with each step she took. The streets were quiet now, the usual buzz of cars replaced by an eerie stillness that mirrored how she felt inside. Her mind raced. How would she explain this to her mom? What about her brother's school fees? And what about the bills piling up on the kitchen counter? Sam walked aimlessly for a while, trying to clear her head. Eventually, she found herself sitting on a bench near the park where she used to play as a kid. The swings swayed gently in the breeze, and the faint hum of crickets filled the silence. For a moment, she let herself cry. Not just for losing her job, but for everything that had been weighing her down lately. Life had never been easy for her, but this felt like rock bottom. As she wiped away her tears, her thoughts drifted back to the man at the diner. There was something odd about him, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. He didn't seem like the typical customer who came in for a quick bite. His questions had been too deliberate, his interest in the diner almost professional. But why would someone like that care about a place like Joe's? It didn't make sense. Meanwhile, back at the diner, Mr. Peterson was fuming. Firing Sam had given him a temporary sense of control, but deep down, he knew it wasn't entirely justified. Some of the other wait staff had witnessed the scene and weren't happy about it. One of them, an older woman named Linda, confronted him after closing time. "Why'd you fire her?" Linda asked, crossing her arms. "She didn't do anything wrong." "She was wasting time," Mr. Peterson shot back, avoiding eye contact. "We can't afford distractions when we're already struggling to keep this place afloat." Linda shook her head in disgust. "That's nonsense, and you know it. Sam works harder than anyone here. You're just mad because she stood up to, you once or twice." Mr. Peterson didn't respond. Instead, he busied himself counting the day's earnings, though his hands trembled slightly. Deep down, he knew Linda was right. Sam was one of the best employees they'd ever had, but admitting that meant swallowing his pride, and Mr. Peterson wasn't the type to do that easily. Back at his penthouse suite, miles away from the diner, the stranger sat alone in a dimly lit room, staring at the napkin Sam had drawn for him. On the surface, it was just a simple map, but to him, it symbolized something much deeper. He replayed their conversation in his mind, the way she spoke about her family, her dreams, and her struggles. There was a raw honesty in her words that resonated with him, reminding him of his own humble beginnings before he built his empire. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Firing her hadn't been part of the plan. In fact, meeting Sam had complicated things more than he'd anticipated. As the CEO of a massive corporation, he was used to making tough decisions without letting emotions get in the way. But tonight, he couldn't shake the guilt gnawing at him. He admired Sam's kindness and determination, qualities he rarely encountered in the high-stakes world of business. For hours, he debated what to do next. Revealing his true identity could jeopardize the investigation he was conducting into Joe's diner. Yet doing nothing felt wrong. Finally, he made up his mind. Picking up his phone, he dialed his assistant. "I need you to pull all available information on Joe's diner," he instructed. "And I want a full report on its employees, especially one of the waitresses. Her name is Sam Carter." His assistant hesitated. "Sir, are you sure? This isn't exactly standard procedure." "I'm aware," he replied firmly. "Just get it done." After hanging up, he leaned back in his chair, staring out the window at the city skyline. Lights twinkled in the distance, but his mind remained focused on the small-town diner and the woman who had unknowingly left such a lasting impression on him. The next morning, Sam woke up exhausted. Sleep had eluded her most of the night, her mind consumed by worries about the future. Still, she forced herself out of bed and got ready to face the day. Her mom was in the living room, knitting quietly while her brother flipped through channels. On the TV. "How was work last night?" her mom asked casually. Sam hesitated, unsure how to break the news. "Mom, I lost my job," she finally admitted, her voice trembling. Her mom dropped her knitting needles, her face pale with shock. "What happened?" Sam explained everything. The strange man, the conversation, Mr. Peterson's outburst. By the time she finished, tears were streaming down both their faces. Her mom hugged her tightly, whispering words of comfort. But Sam couldn't shake the feeling of failure. Later that afternoon, Sam decided to visit a friend who worked at a nearby cafe. Maybe they could use some extra help, even temporarily. As she walked toward the cafe, her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from Linda, one of her co-workers at the diner. "Hey, Sam, just wanted to check on you. Also, something weird happened today. That guy you helped last night, turns out he left a huge tip for you. Mr. Peterson tried to keep it, but we made sure it got set aside. Come by later if you can." Sam stared at the screen, stunned. A big tip? From the mysterious man? She didn't know what to think. Part of her wanted to ignore the message altogether. The last thing she needed was another reminder of the job she'd lost, but curiosity got the better of her, and she decided to stop by the diner later that evening. When she arrived, Linda greeted her warmly and handed her an envelope. Inside was a crisp $50 bill, along with a folded napkin. Sam unfolded it, recognizing the same one she'd used to draw the map. Scrawled across it in neat handwriting was a short note. "Don't lose hope. You're stronger than you think." Tears welled up in Sam's eyes as she read the words over and over. Again. They were simple, yet they carried so much meaning. For the first time since being fired, she felt a glimmer of hope. Whoever this man was, he believed in her, even when she struggled to believe in herself. Little did Sam know, this was only the beginning. The stranger's actions had set off a chain of events that would change not only her life, but the fate of Joe's diner forever. That night, Sam lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, the envelope and napkin resting on her nightstand. The $50 bill was a small fortune to her right now, but it wasn't the money that kept her awake. It was the note. Those few words, scribbled on the napkin, echoed in her mind. "Don't lose hope. You're stronger than you think." Who was this man? Why had he gone out of his way to leave such a thoughtful message? And why did it feel like there was more to the story? Her thoughts spiraled as she tried to piece things together. Something about him didn't add up. He had seemed too interested in the diner, too curious about its operations. Most customers just wanted their food and left. But this guy, he asked questions, listened intently, and even tipped generously. It was almost as if he wasn't just passing through but had a purpose for being there. Despite her exhaustion, sleep wouldn't come. Every time she closed her eyes, flashes of the day played in her mind. The look on Mr. Peterson's face when he fired her, the sympathy from her co-workers, and the stranger's piercing blue eyes. There was something familiar about those eyes, though she couldn't place where she'd seen them before. She tossed and turned until finally, frustration got the better of her. Throwing off the blanket, she grabbed her laptop and typed, "Mysterious. Man leaves big tip" into the search bar, half-jokingly hoping for answers. Nothing useful came up, but it made her laugh. A tiny moment of levity in an otherwise heavy day. The next morning, Sam woke up groggy but determined. She couldn't sit around feeling sorry for herself. She had responsibilities to take care of. After making breakfast for her mom and brother, she started calling local restaurants and cafes, asking if they needed extra help. Some said no outright, while others promised to call back if anything opened up. Each rejection stung, but she forced herself to keep going. Giving up wasn't an option. not when her family depended on her. Later that afternoon, as she scrolled through job listings online, there was a knock at the door. Startled, she glanced at the clock. No one ever visited unannounced. Hesitant, she opened the door and froze. Standing on her porch was the stranger from the diner. Only this time, he wasn't wearing worn-out jeans and a flannel shirt. Instead, he was dressed in a sharp suit that screamed wealth and power. His hair was neatly combed and his posture exuded confidence. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then with a small smile, he extended his hand. "Hi," he said. "I don't believe we were properly introduced. My name is Daniel Reeves." Sam blinked, stunned. The name sounded familiar, though she couldn't immediately place it. She shook his hand cautiously. Hi. What are you doing here?" Daniel stepped inside after a quick nod of permission, his presence filling the modest living room. "I owe you an apology," he began, his tone sincere. "What happened at the diner last night, it shouldn't have gone down that way. I should have stepped in, but well, let's just say I had my reasons for staying quiet." Sam crossed her arms, unsure whether to be angry or intrigued. "Reasons?" she repeated. "Like what?" He sighed, running a hand through his hair. For the first time, he looked uncertain, almost vulnerable. "I'm not just a random customer, Sam. I'm the CEO of Reeves Enterprises." Her eyes widened. Now it clicked. Reeves Enterprises was everywhere. Billboards, news articles, business magazines. They were known for acquiring struggling businesses and turning them around, though not always with the best reputation. Suddenly, pieces of the puzzle fell into place. His curiosity about the diner, his polished demeanor beneath the disguise. It all made sense now. "So you were undercover?" she asked, her voice tinged with disbelief. "And you let me get fired?" "I didn't know it would happen," Daniel replied quickly. "If I had, I would have intervened. That's why I'm here, to make things right." Sam raised an eyebrow. "Make things right? How exactly do you plan to do that?" Daniel hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "I've decided to purchase Joe's Diner, not to shut it down, but to invest in it, and I want you to run it." The room went silent. Sam stared at him, convinced she'd misheard. "You want me to run the diner?" she echoed weakly. "Yes," he said firmly. "From what I saw last night and what I've learned since, you're exactly the kind of person this place needs. You care about the customers, the staff, the community. You understand the heart of Joe's Diner better than anyone else." May sank onto the couch, overwhelmed. This was too much to process. A week ago, she was just trying to survive paycheck to paycheck. Now, a billionaire CEO was offering her the chance to turn her life around. But doubt crept in. Could she really handle something like this? What if she failed? What if people thought she was only getting the opportunity because of Daniel's guilt? As if reading her mind, Daniel sat beside her. "I know this is a lot to take in," he said gently, "but I truly believe in you. Running a diner isn't easy, but neither is working 18-hour shifts to support your family. You've already proven you can handle tough situations. Let me give you the tools to succeed." Sam looked at him, searching for any sign of insincerity. All she saw was genuine belief in her, in the diner, in the possibility of change. Slowly, she nodded. "Okay," she whispered. "Let's do it." Over the next few days, Daniel wasted no time putting his plan into motion. He finalized the purchase of Joe's Diner, much to Mr. Peterson's shock and dismay. When the former manager tried to argue, Daniel simply handed him a severance package and showed him the door. Word spread quickly among the staff, and soon, everyone knew that Sam was taking over as manager. Reactions were mixed. Some were thrilled, while others were skeptical. After all, Sam had spent years as a waitress. Could she really lead the team? To ease the transition, Daniel arranged for Sam to shadow managers at other successful diners owned by Reeves Enterprises. She soaked up every bit of knowledge she could, learning about inventory management, employee training, and customer service strategies. At the same time, Daniel worked behind the scenes to revamp Joe's finances, ensuring it had the resources needed to thrive. But challenges loomed ahead. Rumors began circulating in town that the diner had sold out to a corporate giant. Locals worried it would lose its charm, becoming just another chain restaurant. Even some of Sam's coworkers grumbled, accusing her of climbing the ladder too quickly. The pressure mounted, threatening to crush her newfound confidence. One evening, as Sam stood in the empty diner, staring at the renovations underway, she felt a wave of doubt wash over her. Was she cut out for this? Could she prove the naysayers wrong and keep the spirit of Joe's alive? Just then, Daniel walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee. "You look like you could use this," he said, handing her a cup. She managed a weak smile. "Thanks. I guess I needed a reminder that I can actually do this." "You can," he said without hesitation. "And you will. Remember, I wouldn't have offered you this role if I didn't think you were capable. Trust yourself, Sam. You've got this." Taking a sip of coffee, Sam nodded slowly. Maybe she didn't have all the answers yet, but she knew one thing for sure. She wasn't alone. With determination, and maybe a little help from an unexpected ally, she was ready to face whatever came next. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Sam threw herself into transforming Joe's diner, determined to prove everyone wrong, including the doubters and even her own lingering insecurities. With Daniel's financial backing, she had the resources to make long overdue improvements. The old creaky chairs were replaced with sturdy new ones. Faded posters on the walls gave way to fresh paint and vibrant artwork created by local artists. Even the kitchen got an upgrade, with shiny new equipment that made cooking faster and easier for the staff. But it wasn't just about aesthetics. Sam wanted Joe's Diner to feel like home again, a place where people could come together over good food and shared stories. She worked closely with the team to create a menu that honored the diner's classic dishes while introducing some exciting new options. Burgers and fries still had their spot, but now there were healthier choices too, like salads and grilled chicken wraps. For breakfast lovers, Sam added homemade granola and seasonal fruit bowls alongside the ever-popular pancakes. Her biggest challenge, however, was managing the staff. Some of her co-workers were thrilled to see her in charge, eager to support her vision for the diner. Others weren't so convinced. A few grumbled about favoritism, claiming Sam only got the promotion because of Daniel's guilt. One evening, after a particularly tense shift, Linda pulled Sam aside. "You're doing great," Linda said firmly, cutting off Sam's attempt to apologize for the tension. "Don't let them get to you, they're just scared of change." Sam sighed, leaning against the counter. "I know they are, but I hate feeling like I'm losing them." Linda placed a hand on her shoulder. "Change is hard for everyone. Just keep showing up the way you always have, with kindness and fairness. They'll come around." It wasn't easy, but Sam took Linda's advice to heart. She made an effort to listen to her team's concerns, involving them in decisions whenever possible. Slowly but surely, the mood began to shift. People started seeing that Sam wasn't just trying to impress Daniel. She genuinely cared about making the diner better, for everyone. Despite these small victories, not everything went smoothly. Running a business came with challenges Sam hadn't anticipated. Supplies sometimes arrived late, forcing her to scramble at the last minute. Customers complained about minor issues like cold fries or slow service, which felt crushing after all her hard work. And then there was Mr. Peterson. Furious about being fired, he decided to fight back. Within days of leaving the diner, he filed a lawsuit against Sam and Reeves Enterprises, claiming wrongful termination. According to him, firing someone for helping a customer constituted discrimination. The news spread quickly, and soon reporters were camped outside the diner, eager for a scoop. At first, Sam panicked. How could she possibly handle a legal battle on top of everything else? Daniel reassured her, promising to cover the costs and hire the best lawyers. Still, the stress weighed heavily on her. Every time she saw a camera flash or heard someone mention the lawsuit, her stomach churned. It felt like no matter how hard she worked, there was always another obstacle waiting around the corner. One day, while reviewing receipts and invoices in the office, Sam stumbled upon something strange. Several large sums of money had been transferred out of the diner's account over the past year, labeled as miscellaneous expenses. At first she thought it might be a mistake, but the pattern was undeniable. Curious, she dug deeper, cross-referencing the transactions with old bank statements. What she discovered shocked her. Mr. Peterson had been embezzling funds for months, siphoning off cash to pad his own pockets. Armed with this evidence, Sam approached Daniel. Together, they decided to expose the truth publicly. During a press conference held outside the diner, Sam presented the documents, explaining how Mr. Peterson's actions had hurt the business and its employees. The revelation turned the tables, completely. Public opinion swung in Sam's favor and Mr. Peterson's credibility crumbled. Facing mounting pressure, he dropped the lawsuit and disappeared from town, leaving behind a trail of embarrassment. With the legal drama behind her, Sam focused on preparing for the diner's grand reopening. The event was set for a Saturday morning, and the entire community was invited. Flyers were posted all over town and social media buzzed with excitement. On the big day, Sam arrived early, her nerves tingling with anticipation. Tables were set with fresh flowers, and the jukebox played cheerful tunes. Outside, a line of customers stretched down the block, eager to see what the revamped Joe's Diner had to offer. As the doors opened, Sam stood near the entrance, greeting each guest with a warm smile. Many were regulars who had missed the diner during its renovation. Others were newcomers curious to check out the buzzworthy spot. Inside, the atmosphere was electric. Servers bustled around, delivering plates piled high with delicious food. Cooks called out orders with practiced ease, their movements synchronized like a well-oiled machine. By mid-afternoon, the diner was packed and feedback poured in. Praise for the updated decor, compliments on the food and admiration for Sam's leadership. For the first time in weeks, she allowed herself to relax, soaking in the positive energy around her. Later that evening, as the crowd thinned out, Sam sat at one of the booths, exhausted but happy. Daniel joined her, sliding into the seat across the table. "Well," he said with a grin, "looks like you've officially won them over." Sam laughed softly, shaking her head. "I couldn't have done it without you, or the team. This isn't just my success. It belongs to everyone who believed in me." Daniel nodded thoughtfully. "You've proven something important here, Sam. Success isn't about having all the answers or never making mistakes. It's about resilience, adaptability, and trusting your instincts. You've inspired me, honestly." His words caught her, off guard, but she smiled warmly. "Thanks for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the staff clean up and laugh together. Despite the chaos of the past few months, Sam realized she'd found something truly special, a sense of purpose, a second chance, and a community that supported her through thick and thin. Little did she know this was only the beginning. The journey ahead would bring more challenges, more triumphs, and more opportunities to grow. But for now, sitting in the diner she loved, surrounded by people who mattered most, Sam felt a deep sense of peace. She had finally found her place in the world, and nothing could take that away. The weeks following the grand reopening of Joe's Diner were a blur of activity. The diner quickly became the talk of the town, drawing in not just regulars, but also new faces curious about its transformation. Word spread fast, thanks to glowing reviews on social media and local news coverage, that Joe's was no longer just a greasy spoon. It had evolved into something special. People loved the updated menu, the cozy atmosphere, and most importantly, the warmth of its staff. Sam found herself busier than ever before, juggling the responsibilities of managing the team, ensuring top-notch service, and keeping up with inventory. Yet despite the long hours and constant pressure, she felt alive in a way she hadn't in years. One of the biggest changes came from the community itself. Locals who once feared the diner would lose its charm now embraced it as a symbol of resilience. Families brought their kids for weekend breakfasts, seniors gathered for afternoon coffee, and young professionals stopped by after work for hearty meals. It wasn't uncommon to see groups laughing over plates of pancakes or couples sharing milkshakes at the counter. For Sam, this sense of connection meant everything. Every smile, every compliment, Every thank you reinforced her belief that she was exactly where she was meant to be. But running the diner wasn't without its challenges. Some days felt like an uphill battle. Complaints trickled in here and there. A burger cooked too well done, a server forgetting an order. But Sam handled them with grace, viewing each issue as an opportunity to improve. She held weekly meetings with the staff, encouraging open communication and teamwork. Her approach paid off. Slowly but surely, even the skeptics among her co-workers began to trust her leadership. They saw how hard she worked, how much she cared, and how determined she was to make things better for everyone. Amidst the chaos, Daniel remained a steady presence in Sam's life. He visited the diner often, sometimes sitting quietly in a corner booth while observing the flow of operations, other times offering advice when needed. Though he wasn't directly involved in day-to-day management, his support gave Sam confidence. Knowing she could count on him made all the difference, especially during tough moments. One evening after closing time, Sam sat at one of the booths going over receipts. The diner was quiet, the only sounds coming from the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional clink of silverware being stacked away. Daniel walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee. He handed one to Sam and slid into the seat across from her. "You've been working nonstop," he said, his tone soft but firm. "When was the last time you took a break?" Sam chuckled, though it lacked humor. "Breaks are overrated." He raised an eyebrow. "Even superheroes need rest, Sam." She sighed, leaning back against the booth. "I know, it's just, I don't want to mess this up. Everyone's counting on me, the staff, the customers, even you." Daniel shook his head. "This isn't about living up to anyone's expectations. You've already proven yourself. Take it from someone who knows. Success isn't sustainable if you burn yourself out." His words struck a chord. Sam realized she'd been so focused on proving herself that she hadn't taken a moment to breathe. She nodded slowly. "Maybe you're right, but it's hard to step back when there's always something else to do." "Then delegate," he suggested. "Trust your team. That's what they're here for." It was simple advice, yet it hit home. Over the next few days, Sam started delegating tasks more effectively. Instead of micromanaging every detail, she empowered her staff to take ownership of their roles. To her surprise, productivity soared. Servers coordinated seamlessly, cooks prepared meals efficiently, and even the dishwashers seemed more motivated. The entire operation ran smoother, and Sam finally felt like she could exhale. As the months passed, Sam noticed a shift, not just in the diner but within herself. She grew more confident in her abilities, learning to navigate challenges with a calmness she hadn't known she possessed. Running a business taught her patience, resilience, and the importance of surrounding herself with good people. And speaking of good people, her bond with Daniel deepened. Their professional relationship blossomed into a genuine friendship built on mutual respect and shared values. One night, after a particularly successful dinner rush, Sam and Daniel sat outside the diner under the glow of string lights. The air was cool and the streets were quiet except for the distant sound of crickets chirping. "I never expected this," Sam admitted, sipping her soda. "When I got fired, I thought my world was ending. Now look at me. I'm running a diner, leading a team, and somehow keeping it all together." Daniel smiled. "Life has a funny way of surprising us. Sometimes the hardest moments lead to the greatest opportunities." She glanced at him, gratitude swelling in her chest. "I couldn't have done any of this without you. Thank you for believing in me, for giving me a second chance." He shrugged modestly. "You did the heavy lifting, Sam. All I did was point you in the right direction." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the stars twinkle above. For Sam, it was a moment of clarity. She realized that success wasn't just about achieving goals or overcoming obstacles. It was about growth. Personal, emotional, and spiritual. She had started this journey broken and uncertain, but along the way she had discovered strength she didn't know she had. Still, Sam knew the road ahead wouldn't always be smooth. Competitors continued to pop up, luring customers with flashy promotions and discounts. Rumors occasionally circulated about Reeves Enterprises' involvement, painting the diner as a corporate takeover rather than a labor of love. Through it all, Sam stayed grounded, reminding herself why she fought so hard to keep Joe's alive. It wasn't about money or recognition. It was about preserving a piece of her hometown's soul. Her determination inspired others. Local businesses reached out, seeking advice on how to adapt to changing times. Community leaders praised her efforts, calling her a role model for perseverance. Even her family noticed a change in her demeanor. Her mom often remarked how proud she was of Sam, while her younger brother joked that she should run for mayor someday. Through every triumph and trial, Sam carried one truth close to her heart. None of this would have been possible without the kindness of strangers, the loyalty of friends, and the unwavering support of those who believed in her. As she stood behind the counter each morning, greeting customers with a warm smile, she reminded herself that success wasn't measured by wealth or fame. It was measured by impact. And in that regard, Sam had already won. Months turned into a year, and Joe's Diner became more than just a local favorite. It was an institution. People didn't just come for the food. They came for the stories, the laughter, and the sense of belonging that filled the space. Sam had poured her heart into every corner of the diner, from the carefully curated playlist on the jukebox to the handwritten notes of gratitude pinned to a bulletin board near the entrance. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was emotional too. Customers often remarked how the diner felt like home, a place where everyone knew your name and remembered your order. For Sam, this sense of community meant everything. She woke up each morning with purpose, knowing she was making a difference, not just for herself or her family, but for the entire town. Her staff had become more than coworkers. They were like family. Together they celebrated birthdays, supported one another through tough times, and shared countless inside jokes. Even the regular customers felt like part of the fold. One elderly man who visited every Tuesday morning always brought fresh flowers from his garden for the tables. Another customer, a single mom with 2 kids, often helped out during busy shifts when she didn't have childcare. These small acts of kindness created a web of connection that made the diner truly special. But life has a way of testing even the strongest foundations. One crisp autumn morning, as Sam unlocked the diner's doors, she found an envelope taped to the glass. Inside was a letter from Reeves Enterprises' legal team. It read, "Dear Ms. Carter, we regret to inform you that due to unforeseen circumstances, Reeves Enterprises may need to reconsider its investment in Joe's Diner. Please be assured that we are exploring all options to minimize disruption to operations." Sam's hands trembled as she read the words over and over again. Panic bubbled up inside her. Hadn't they already been through enough? Just when things were finally stable, this threat loomed overhead. She immediately called Daniel, her voice shaking as she asked what was going on. When he arrived later that afternoon, his expression was grim. "There's been some pushback from the board," he explained. "They're questioning whether investing in a small-town diner aligns with our overall strategy." "But we've proven it works," Sam protested. "The diner is thriving. We've paid off debts, increased revenue, and built something real here." "I know," Daniel said, his tone heavy with frustration. "And I'm fighting for you, for us. But corporate decisions aren't always logical. They're driven by numbers, not people." Sam sank onto a stool, feeling defeated. After all she'd overcome, was she really going to lose the diner now? The thought of starting over again, or worse, seeing the diner shut down, was unbearable. Yet amid her despair, a spark of determination ignited within her. If Reeves Enterprises pulled out, she would find another way to keep the diner alive. She wouldn't let anyone take away what she and her team had built. Over the next few weeks, Sam worked tirelessly to secure alternative funding. She reached out to local investors, applied for grants, and even launched a crowdfunding campaign online. The response was overwhelming. Customers rallied around the diner, sharing photos and memories on social media. Donations poured in, along with messages of encouragement. One woman wrote, "Joe's saved me during my darkest days. Now, It's our turn to save it. Another posted, "This isn't just a diner, it's the heart of our town." Meanwhile, Daniel fought his own battle within Reeves Enterprises. He presented data showing the diner's success, emphasizing its positive impact on the community. He argued passionately that profitability wasn't the only measure of value. To his surprise, his colleagues began to listen. Slowly, opinions shifted. By the time the board reconvened, there was enough support to keep the investment intact. When Daniel broke the news to Sam, she burst into tears of relief and gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, hugging him tightly. "I don't know what I would have done without you." "You did this yourself," he replied, smiling. "All I did was remind them of what matters most." With the crisis averted, Sam threw herself into giving back to the community that had supported her. She organized monthly fundraisers at the diner, donating proceeds to local charities. She partnered with schools to offer internships for students interested in hospitality. And she started a program called Pay It Forward, allowing customers to purchase meals for those in need. Within months, the initiative had provided hundreds of free meals to struggling families. Her efforts didn't go unnoticed. Local newspapers featured her story, calling her a beacon of hope in challenging times. Business leaders praised her innovative approach to running a small business. But for Sam, the greatest reward was seeing the smiles on people's faces, the same ones who had stood by her when she needed help the most. One evening, as the sun set behind the diner's windows, Sam stood behind the counter watching families laugh and share meals together. She thought about how far she'd come, from being fired on a random night to becoming the heart and soul of Joe's Diner. Life had thrown her curveballs, but she'd learned to catch them and throw them right back. Daniel joined her, leaning against the counter. "You've changed a lot since we first met," he said, his voice warm. She laughed softly. "Yeah, well, so have you. You used to be this mysterious stranger hiding in plain sight. Now look at you, fighting for a little diner in the middle of nowhere." He grinned. "Maybe I learned a thing or two from you, like how sometimes the smallest places hold the biggest hearts." They shared a quiet moment, reflecting on everything they'd accomplished together. For Sam, it was proof that life's hardest moments could lead to its greatest triumphs. She had started this journey broken and uncertain, but along the way, she had discovered strength, resilience, and the power of community. As she locked up the diner that night, Sam paused to glance at the neon sign glowing above the door. Joe's Diner, where everyone belongs. Those words summed up everything she believed in: connection, kindness, and second chances. Against all odds, she had built a place where people felt seen, valued, and loved. And in doing so, she had found her true purpose. Life wasn't perfect, and challenges would undoubtedly arise again. But Sam knew one thing for sure. No matter what happened, she would face it head-on, with courage, determination, and the unwavering support of the people who mattered most. Sam's journey with Joe's Diner had reached a place of stability, but life is never static. Change has a way of creeping in when you least expect it, and for Sam, the next chapter began quietly, one crisp winter morning. It started with a phone call. The voice on the other end was warm yet formal, introducing itself as someone from a national news outlet. They'd heard about Sam's story, the waitress who got fired, fought back, and turned a struggling diner into a thriving community hub, and wanted to feature her in an upcoming segment about grassroots entrepreneurs making a difference. At first, Sam laughed nervously, thinking it was some kind of prank. But when they followed up with emails and official requests, she realized it was real. The idea terrified her. Sam had always preferred staying behind the scenes, letting her work speak for itself. She wasn't used to being in the spotlight, much less talking about herself on national television. Still, Daniel encouraged her to take the opportunity. "This isn't just about you," he reminded her. "It's about showing others what's possible. Your story could inspire people to keep going when things get tough." Reluctantly, Sam agreed. Over the next few weeks, cameras rolled inside the diner, capturing everything from bustling breakfast rushes to quiet moments where Sam greeted familiar faces at the door. Reporters interviewed staff members, customers, and even local business owners who credited Sam with revitalizing the town's spirit. One elderly woman teared up while recounting how Sam had once delivered meals to her home during a snowstorm. Another customer joked that Sam should run for mayor because she already ran the heart of the community. When the segment aired, it became an instant hit. Social media buzzed with praise and messages poured in from across the country. Strangers shared their own struggles and triumphs, thanking Sam for reminding them that resilience pays off. Some even made pilgrimages to the diner, eager to experience firsthand the magic everyone was talking about. For weeks, lines stretched out the door, with visitors snapping photos of the menu, the jukebox, and the handwritten notes on the bulletin board. The newfound attention brought both blessings and challenges. On one hand, business boomed. People came not just for the food but to meet Sam and thank her personally. Local suppliers offered discounts, and neighboring businesses collaborated on joint promotions. A bakery down the street created a special Joe's Diner donut, donating part of the proceeds to charity. It was as if the entire town rallied around the diner, celebrating its success as their own. On the other hand, the sudden fame put pressure on Sam and her team. Longer hours, larger crowds, and higher expectations weighed heavily on everyone. Some days felt chaotic, with orders piling up and tempers flaring. Even Sam found herself overwhelmed, struggling to balance running the diner with endless interview, requests, and public appearances. Her mom noticed the toll it was taking and gently reminded her, "You can't pour from an empty cup, sweetheart." Taking the advice to heart, Sam decided to set boundaries. She turned down most interviews and delegated more responsibilities to her trusted staff. She also introduced new systems to streamline operations, like hiring additional servers and investing in better technology for managing reservations. Slowly but surely, the chaos settled into a manageable rhythm. Through it all, Sam's bond with Daniel deepened. Their relationship evolved beyond mentorship. They became true partners, not just in business but in life. Daniel admired Sam's strength and compassion, qualities he often felt were missing in his corporate world. In turn, Sam appreciated his wisdom and unwavering support. Together, they brainstormed ways to expand the diner's impact without losing its soul. One evening, as they sat outside under the stars, Daniel brought up an idea he'd been mulling over. "What if we turned Joe's into a model for other small businesses?" he asked. "Not just financially, but socially. We could create programs to teach entrepreneurship, leadership, and community engagement." Sam's eyes lit up. "Like workshops or training sessions?" "Exactly," Daniel replied. "We could invite aspiring entrepreneurs to shadow you, learn from your experience, and apply those lessons in their own towns. Imagine the ripple effect." The concept excited Sam, but it also intimidated her. Could she really serve as a role model for others? What if she failed them? Sensing her hesitation, Daniel placed a reassuring hand on hers. "You've already proven you can do this. Trust yourself." With Daniel's guidance, they launched the initiative 6 months later. Dubbed the Joe's Diner Project, it combined hands-on learning with mentorship opportunities. Participants spent weeks working alongside Sam and her team, gaining insights into everything from customer service to conflict resolution. By the end of the program, many left inspired and equipped to tackle their own ventures. One participant, a young man trying to revive his family's failing cafe, returned home and transformed it into a thriving hotspot. He sent Sam a heartfelt letter thanking her for reigniting his passion. Another attendee, a single mother hoping to open a daycare center, credited the program with giving her the confidence to pursue her dream. Reading their stories filled Sam with pride, not just for herself, but for the lives she'd touched indirectly. As years passed, Joe's Diner continued to thrive, becoming a symbol of hope and perseverance. Its walls bore testament to countless memories, photos of birthdays celebrated, graduations marked, and friendships forged. Yet perhaps the most remarkable legacy was the sense of community it fostered. Whether it was through fundraisers, mentorship, programs, or simply sharing a meal, The diner connected people in meaningful ways. For Sam, the journey had come full circle. From being fired on a random night to standing at the helm of a beloved institution, she had faced every challenge with courage and grace. Along the way, she discovered something profound. Success isn't measured by accolades or wealth, but by the lives you touch and the love you give. One chilly December evening, as Sam stood watching families gather for holiday festivities at the diner, she reflected on how far she'd come. Life hadn't been easy, but it had been worth it. Every setback had led to growth, every struggle had taught her resilience, and every triumph had reinforced her belief in humanity's capacity for kindness. Daniel joined her, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "Looks like you've built quite the empire here," he teased. Sam smiled, leaning into him. "Nah, it's not an empire. It's just home." And in that moment, surrounded by laughter, warmth, and the hum of conversation, she knew she'd finally found exactly where she belonged.